Welcome to your daily dose of dopamine. My name is Robert Cochran, and I am joined today by Anthony Netto, the inventor of, I don't know, is it co-inventor or your sole inventor? Or how do I?
Co-invented. Let me stop that. One moment.
Look, things are happening.
I'll put
That's
on silent.
perfect.
But this is basically the Stand Up and Play Foundation. I can show it to you. This is our office.
Yes, I
And
love. There
they're
they
all
are.
they're my secretaries.
See, this is what lets people know we're doing this real time. It's not overly produced. So,
Okay.
co-inventor of this thing called the Paragolfer,
That
and
was the initial one, yes.
yeah,
Uh,
tell me about that and where you're at.
sure. Well, we started with standing frame, how important standing frames were. And unfortunately, I lost a few friends over the years because of a bed sore or the result of a bed sore. And they were active, Paralympians. And why, when they're so active, what happened? And we heard about how important it is to do standing therapy and watch out for your skin issues that you get from sitting all the time. Well, being a golfer, well, I was actually a golf professional teaching, and I said, well, I could use this just to get my client lined up and get out, go with them on the golf course without having to keep falling out of golf carts. um, and I do at the same time I'd be doing therapy. So one thing led to another, and I got a standing frame from a company called Lifestand. We worked with them, and then we worked with another company, and they promised me everything, and turned out that they were more interested in just their mission. So it did slow me down the first 5 years, and then eventually I met a company called Autobock, and I took our prototype to them, and they literally made it to what your dad tried out. I heard, and we called it the Paragolfer. And obviously, not being the businessman anymore, I just want them for my friends, and I was able to invest a lot of money in those days, where I still had a few dollars, euros in those days, because I was living in Europe. And after being injured in the war, I ended up obviously making it a mission to help other fellow wounded, and because I knew this was an answer to a lot of problems that we had mentally. Obviously, the scars, you see a lot of them walking around with, we call it hidden scars. We had physical scars that we also had to worry about. So I thought if we could get them outdoors, and golf's a great game. As a professional, I'm very honored to be able to teach the game, because it helps not only the mental part but the physical part. And in this case, we do need that. And we managed to solve the problem. And before I knew it, I had guys coming to me and said, golf saved my life. You've given me a whole new way of living. So they call it the new lease on life. I think this is some of the words that came out over the years. And I mean, now we've seen how the VA are actually using golf as part of their funding programs, and helping the guys get equipment if they can prove they're going to use it, because they've seen it so effective. So that's a blessing in disguise. But I still see we haven't touched the tip of the iceberg. As I said, Dad had Parkinson's, or has Parkinson's, and I have many clients that thought they couldn't play again. They got back to playing, but they also improved. And obviously, with the modern technology and the medicine that's available, you've got to keep your body in motion. And I think that was important as well, so that you can let the other modern medicine work. So,
Yes.
because mind, body, and soul is great, but if you also crazy, and driving yourself crazy because you're so frustrated, you can block the other problem, the other potentially helping products. So,
Yeah, let me recap a couple things I heard you say because it's spectacular. Number
sorry,
one,
I've been living this 30 years. So,
no, and you're doing great. I just want to make sure that I
yeah.
heard it, make sure the audience kind of catch up with, because you have so much wonderful information. Number one, uh, people, as you said, still here in the 21st century die of bed sores.
The
That's
result of bed sores, yes.
the
That's
result
like
of bed
blood
sores.
poisoning that they get, the infections.
That's horrific. And again, we're calling attention to that. Thank you for, that. We know in Parkinson's community, of course, that exercise is like medicine, and it has all the effect like you're talking about, the social as well as the mental, and literally moving your body so that you don't get the bed sores. So yes, thank you to all of that. Secondly, you mentioned being injured in your military service. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then 5 years later, I was in the chair. I got hit by a drunk driver. Slowed me down.
Wow. So
Yeah,
you were injured in
I'm a
military
veteran.
service,
Yes.
and then after you were recovering, were you in a wheelchair because
Yes,
of?
I was. I was using a wheelchair. I still had motion, a little bit of motion. And then I hit, then a drunk driver hit me and I fractured my neck. And I've since been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, just to round it all off.
Right. Oh, okay. A military injury, a drunk driver, and now multiple sclerosis. So you have all these things, and yet you have this will, this desire, this burning passion to continue to not only do well for yourself, but do well for others. Can you talk to me about that? Your spirit that seems to be so engaged communally, and it seems to be driving part of who you are.
I feel it helped me answer the question why you the survivor's guilt. We were able to get the option to give the buddies, brothers and sisters out there. Well, it's more the brothers because that's who I was dealing with. I'll be very honest, right at the beginning. And then there were a couple of kids that also, they were put onto me in the hospitals when I was really frustrated after the neck injury. Suck it up, buttercup, and all that other stuff you used to hear. Um, and I was very frustrated and angry with the world because after doing all these things and then that has to happen to another obstacle. It's like, what did I do wrong? Give me a break type of thing. And then I ended up hearing from kids and wives and people that said, you've given me my daddy back. Or you're giving me my husband back. I was playing golf today and he was teaching me and I'm his caregiver. And it was the first time I realized that's my husband giving me. I saw part of my husband that I haven't seen the last couple of years. So, and then daddy's now playing golf with me. Before daddy didn't have time for me. So those are things that if it wasn't for the product, the Paragolfer in those days, I don't think, I don't know, they might have found other ways, but I can just say I'm proud that it was my way, the Paragolfer.
All right. So, Anthony, I want you to hang tight. What we do on this show is we tend to cut every 5 to 10 minutes or so. We're going to do another episode. So don't go anywhere. I want to continue this conversation. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
All right. See you in a minute.